Dear child, breathe with me. Let this moment be sacred, even in its sorrow. The angels are not far. They are beside you, closer than your next thought, holding space for every crack in your heart. What has been revealed may feel like the world turned upside down. But in truth, it is your soul turning right side up. If this message resonates with your heart, share it with someone who may need this light. You have carried more than your fair share. The silence of others became the burden on your back, and yet you walked with grace. You prayed in shadows, hoping someone, anyone, would see the weight behind your smile. And now, heaven speaks to tell you, they saw. The divine never missed a moment. Leave a comment if you've ever felt unseen but never unloved. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. Their inability to love you fully wasn't your failure. It was their fear. But the love of the divine is fearless, and it has never, not for a second, pulled away from you. You belong not because someone said you did, but because your existence is divine evidence. Subscribe to receive more sacred reminders like this. Long before a DNA test whispered truth, your spirit already knew. That feeling deep in your belly, the one you tried to silence, it was the angels whispering through intuition. You were not wrong. You were not imagining it. Truth has always spoken to your soul in a language deeper than words. If you've ever trusted your intuition over appearance, share this with someone brave. Yes, it's okay to grieve the story you were told, the version of love you believed, the people you wanted to be more than they were capable of becoming. This grief is not weakness. It is spiritual strength clearing space for something truer. Comment: I receive this if you're giving yourself permission to feel it all. Let this be the turning point. Let this be the moment you stop doubting your own knowing and begin walking with authority. You do not need to convince anyone anymore. You only need to align with your own truth. The ones who can meet you there will arrive. Share this with someone who is walking into their power. The silence they give you now is not mystery. It is the echo of their avoidance. But their silence is not your responsibility. Your only call is to keep moving in the direction of your peace. Your light cannot be dimmed by those who fear it. Subscribe if you're learning to stop shrinking for other people's comfort. Let your breath come easier. Let your shoulders drop. You were never created to live in tension, to hold the lie so others could feel safe. You were made to be truth, to be revelation, to be healing in human form. Share this post if you're ready to live without apology. Dear one, the unraveling you just experienced was not your end. It was your beginning. Not a collapse, but a sacred cracking open. Heaven has been waiting for this, for the illusion to fall so your truth could rise unhidden. Comment: I believe if your soul knows it's time to begin again. You were not meant to live in someone else's story, under someone else's script. The confusion, the whispers, the shift in tone when your name was spoken, none of it was your fault. It was the cost of carrying light in a space built on shadows. If this brings clarity, share it with someone still searching. And still, you offered love. Still, you gave loyalty. Still, you tried to keep the peace while your own heart cracked beneath the weight of the secrets. That, dear child, is not weakness. That is holy strength. That is your legacy of grace. Leave a comment if you've ever held love in a place that didn't return it fully. This is not your shame to carry. This is not your silence to maintain. You are not here to protect the lie. They had their chance to be honest. And now, truth walks with you, not as a weapon, but as a guide. Subscribe to be reminded that truth is never betrayal. Do not look back with blame. Look back with clarity. Every cold glance, every unanswered question, every closed-door conversation shaped the wisdom you carry now. That inner knowing? It was heaven's voice preparing you. If your intuition has ever saved you, share this blessing with someone else. The pain may still be fresh. The ache of betrayal may echo in your chest. But that ache is also the sound of walls crumbling that were never meant to hold you. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment. Comment, Amen, if your soul is shedding what was never yours. Your life is not just a recovery. It is a rebirth. The doors that closed were not rejection. They were redirection to a space where you no longer have to explain, beg, or break yourself to belong. That is the miracle. Not that you survived, but that you are now thriving in truth. Subscribe if you're ready to walk forward, not in fear, but in freedom. There is a kind of strength that blooms in silence when no validation arrives, no arms reach out, and no truth is spoken aloud. Yet still, you remain. Still, you love. You stay committed to the light within, even as shadows fall across your path. This is not weakness, beloved. This is devotion, the kind that heaven watches with reverence. Share this if you've ever stayed kind when you had every reason not to. And now, the truth has arrived like thunder in the quiet. A secret held tightly for too long has loosened its grip. Your footing may feel unsteady. Your heart may ache with questions. But the voice whispering through the stillness isn't theirs. It's divine. It reminds you that you were never standing on borrowed ground. You are rooted in something far greater. Comment, still standing, if you've ever felt your spirit rise through the pain. Your foundation was never their words, never their acceptance, never their version of you. It was your honor, your integrity, your faith that refused to disappear. You did not fall when truth knocked everything else down. You rose, not in defense, but in quiet confirmation of who you've always been. Subscribe if you're learning to rebuild on your own terms. You walked through unspoken rejections. You grew through silence like a tree stretching toward the sun, even when surrounded by coldness. They whispered, they deflected, they covered cracks with performance, but you were building truth, and that truth is finally surfacing. Share this with someone who needs to know they were never the problem. You're not being called to shout. You're being called to stay still, to stay sacred, to let this next chapter emerge with the same patience that carried you through the last. Nothing about you is reactionary. Everything about you is holy. Comment, I'm ready, if you're choosing presence over noise. Their silence wasn't your closure. Their discomfort wasn't your mirror. You are not what they failed to speak. You are what you faithfully became. Every omission only sharpened your awareness. Every pause gave birth to your power. Subscribe if you've been healing in quiet, unseen ways. And now the apology may never come, but the liberation already has. The confusion is gone. The veil has lifted. You are no longer holding on to illusions. You are being held by clarity, by the divine arms that have never let you go. Share this if you've found peace even in unanswered questions. There is nothing missing in you, no peace lost, no worth stolen. This isn't a moment of unraveling. It's a moment of remembering. Your soul has always known the way forward, and now that the truth has caught up to the light inside you, there's no going back. Comment, I trust the timing if you believe your healing is unfolding perfectly. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't show on the surface. The kind that lives in your spirit from balancing two realities, the one they created for comfort, and the one your soul never stopped sensing. For too long, you've carried questions that no one dared answer. Share this if you've carried silent pain with unshakable grace. Now the masks have fallen. The truth stands uncovered. The room may have gone quiet, but your spirit is loud with awareness. This isn't your destruction, child. This is your turning point. Let the stillness now become your sanctuary, not your sentence. Comment: I'm turning the page if you're choosing growth over resentment. You were never meant to split yourself in half for fragile love. You were not created to dilute your intuition for the sake of false peace. Every time you bent to fit their version of reality, you chipped away at your sacred center. But now the bending stops. Subscribe if you're reclaiming the space you once shrank in. The truth was never your enemy. It was your compass. Even though it hurt, even though it shattered illusions, it gave your soul back its wings. Now you no longer have to choose between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. You can be whole again. Share this if you've realized self-betrayal isn't love. You are no longer navigating a world where love must be earned through silence. You are worthy of a love that stays steady, a life that does not depend on your ability to suppress your truth. And that's the direction heaven is guiding you now. Share this with someone who needs to know that quiet loyalty is powerful. And finally, you are not defined by what others could not accept. You are defined by how you kept showing up with heart, even when your voice trembled. The angels watched it all. And now, they are lighting the way not to restore what was broken, but to create what was always meant for you. Comment: I trust the path if you're stepping into your next chapter with peace.